like I said, I have no idea. I don't know how to answer that.
What are we even
There's
doing
gotta
here?
be.
You didn't prep for that question?
No, for Tokyo-related questions?
Let me remind you of our format. One person presents as an expert, and then the other person asks questions. You didn't know the answer to that question?
After one article, it does not mention Tokyo one time.
Welcome.
Oh, here we go.
Welcome to the Low Grade Research Podcast.
We're in it to win it. We're live.
We're live?
We're live on the air.
Yeah, we're back.
Select countries. You want to guess which ones?
I'm going to guess the United States.
Wrong.
Because my mom's going to listen.
We're not.
That's where she is.
We're not live on the air in the United States. No.
Oh.
She'll get this later.
Are you talking about which countries we're live in right now?
Yeah, currently we're broadcasting.
I'm going to say most of Western Europe. So they're all asleep. Let's go with the UK.
No, we got a real specific part of Eastern Europe, actually.
Oh.
Yep. It's 2 countries.
It's 2 countries in Eastern Europe.
Yep. Got any guesses?
Czech Republic.
Nope.
And another republic.
Estonia and Uzbekistan.
We're live
Yeah,
in
right
Uzbekistan.
now. Lubin Gorpad.
All right.
Hello to Uzbekistan. Hello.
Guten Morgen.
Guten
No, it's
Morgen.
definitely German.
No, it's not.
Could be in German.
I think that just
They
means
won't even know.
Good Morgen in German.
It's a very popular name.
Guten Joseph.
Morgan.
I think he's saying good morning.
Good Joseph. What?
Oh, I am a Joseph. Anyway, yeah. So that's where we're streaming to right now, live.
That's sweet. What is it, like 4:30 in the morning over there?
Yeah, something like that. And we're speaking English over there, so really we don't have much traction at all.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just found a loophole. I'm paying a guy $150 a month so we can stream to those
Oh, I
two
thought
countries.
that's why you're streaming, because it was for free.
No.
We're still paying a guy?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
No, he told me it'd be big exposure.
We need an
Yeah.
accountant.
We actually do have a lot of exposure there, just no traction because no one can understand what we're saying.
No one cares to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
All right. So Guten Morgen to all of our listeners in Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning into the Low Grade Research Podcast.
Mhm. We're here for you, baby.
We're going to talk about some stuff that you know nothing about
Yeah.
or care to learn
Because
anything
they're not allowed
about.
to have fun.
That's true, because they're in a dictatorship.
Yeah. You go ahead and continue talking. I'm going to look up real quick if they are or not.
All right. I'm going to guess they're not.
One thing I don't want is to be canceled because I made a wild claim about them being a dictatorship. Someone gets mad about that.
Because this is going to air.
Yeah, we're keeping all this in. I don't even know how to spell it. Okay, I was right. Uzbekistan
You
is...
spelled it right, or they are a dictatorship?
I did not spell it right, no,
Oh.
but they are. It says Uzbekistan is indeed characterized as a dictatorship despite some
Really?
cosmetic reforms and claims of the democratic process.
Okay, so they're like easing out of a dictatorship?
No, they're just to have a
They're
dictator
just still a
who
dictator.
puts on sham elections and stuff to make it look like they're not.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, by the way, every single
Which I
dictatorship
think
there is.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
You ever seen the movie Borat?
Yes.
It's like that. So he'll like hold an election and it's like 100% in favor of him to be the president still. And he's like, the people want it. They all said
what the
100,
people
but they're all
want.
like at gunpoint or it's like stuffed ballots.
You're
or
talking
whatever.
about the dictator? That movie?
Oh yeah, I guess I
With
am,
the
yeah.
same
with
guy?
Borat. Yeah, yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. So
It's all one and the same.
it's all one and the same. Anyway,
Should we just get into our topic then?
well, let's do it.
Okay, so I'll be presenting this week. This is a topic that you and I have actually talked about,
We have
and we actually recorded an episode about it probably almost a year ago.
if memory serves, it's probably one of the very first episodes we ever recorded,
I would agree.
which
but
will never be released.
sorry,
Yep.
we're not going to show that to you. But I decided to revisit it because I think we're a little bit better at presenting. We're a little bit better at discussing topics and stuff, and it's something that still interests me. I
Not
think
to
it's cool.
mention, we used to do episodes in strict Korean back then, and we have since started doing
Yeah,
it in
you would
English.
just talk, and I would try to present in English.
Yeah, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
In fact, we might go back to that
Yeah,
again.
so it was just you in a chair with noise-canceling headphones, grunting and just kind of moving a little bit.
Yeah, in what I thought was Korean, and then and then you took it from there. Gosh, if That's not a concept for a podcast.
I'd answer my own questions. Is it?
Yeah, I'm going to add it to our list.
Maybe a video podcast.
Future podcast ideas.
Oh, boy. Okay, so the topic that we're going to be talking about today is lake surfing.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, it is exactly what it sounds like.
Great. That's the whole episode.
As it states, lake surfing is surfing on any lake or basically really anything but the ocean. So this also includes surfing waves that can be found in rivers. I mean, I'd say streams, but there's not. If there's big enough wake to surf in a stream, it's not a stream, it's a river.
But that counts as lake surfing in a river?
Yeah, it's basically it's just kind of wrapped up to like any inland surfing type of surfing. So mostly lakes and rivers.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about as I was looking up kind of like the origins of lake surfing. It's not huge enough for people to be like, here's how it started. But it's just something that's kind of around, you know what I mean? So it slowly continues to gain popularity. So
can we take a quick technical break?
Oh yeah, let's adjust some stuff.
I think my microphone's having a hard day.
All right, we're back. Thanks for holding out.
I think that sounds way better. I think we just need to throw that microphone in the straight hot garbage. Put it down my garbage disposal.
Hopefully you guys at home can tell the difference. So we're talking a little bit about some of the origins of this, and like I said, like even with like surfing itself,
yep,
as a sport or an activity, it's hard to like pinpoint the origins of it because the first forms of any type of surfing are considered body surfing.
Sure.
And when did people start swimming in the ocean? You know what I mean? Like
probably.
I'm going to
guess.
That? You're going to take an educated guess?
Yeah.
All right. What do you got? I'll give you a hint. It was before Jesus.
Oh boy, that's way earlier than I was going to guess.
Yeah. And that's why Jesus himself walked on the water.
So yeah, it's got to be after Jesus' time because I'm pretty sure everybody just walked on water then, right? So yeah, I'm going to say the 1964 Summer Olympics.
That's when people start, not during the Olympics, but just that same year, same time frame.
No, during. Yeah.
During the Olympics, people just picked it up.
You've not heard about why that was such a groundbreaking Olympics?
Wait, you're talking about just like body surfing?
I'm talking about the first time anyone swam in the ocean. It was the 1964 Summer Olympics where they tried it for the first time. It was on the beach.
Please tell me the 1964 Olympics was held in a landlocked area. These were the Tokyo games. So they were held in Japan.
Yeah, on an island. Yeah, surrounded by what? The ocean, bro.
I don't know if surfing's that big in Tokyo. I mean, I could be wrong.
I'm not talking about surfing, Mitch. I'm talking about the first time people swam in the ocean.
Was in Tokyo?
Yes, dude.
No, I can't believe that.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break while I write an unrelated Wikipedia page. Also, I want to point out that 1964 was a 100% guess on my part for a Summer Olympics, and there are Summer Olympics in 64.
In 64, yeah, in Tokyo. Great guess.
Yeah, I'm just channeling the feeling of the language, you know what I mean?
Is that all Asian languages?
It's a
feeling.
I mean, if you want to get meta about it, it's kind of all language everywhere, don't you think?
Yeah, so when pinpointing the kind of the origins of when like inland surfing started or kind of garnered some popularity.
Yep.
We're going back to like the 1950s actually.
Okay.
So like surfing itself also didn't really become like a big mainstream like sport even in the ocean until like the 1950s as well. That's kind of when it started taking off.
It's pretty hard to believe if I'm being honest.
I know, kind of wild, right? It seems late.
Yeah.
So that's when people started like engaging in it and being like, oh, we can do this without living in California.
Sure.
Or Florida or wherever there's an actual ocean.
Right. Tokyo.
Or Tokyo. There is an ocean in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Still unaware of the surfing culture in Tokyo.
I'm sure that there is surfing culture in Tokyo.
I'll have to look into it.
I'm positive. There's no way there's not, right?
Like I said, I have no idea. I don't know how to answer that.
What are we even doing here?
Be.
You didn't prep for that question?
No, for Tokyo related questions.
Let me remind you of our format. One person presents as an expert, and then the other person asks questions. You didn't know the answer to that question?
After one article, it does not mention Tokyo one time.
I
After
read
3 articles.
I read 10 articles every time I present to you. I just want you to know that.
Well, that's why your episodes are better.
They're usually unrelated. But I'm just taking a guess.
10
You never know what
unrelated.
old Mitchy boy is going to come
10
up with.
unrelated articles. So the areas where lake surfing is popular is obviously around lakes.
Sure.
Specifically, though, we're talking about the Great Lakes.
I was going to say, it seems like it's probably like a big lake activity.
It is definitely a big lake activity. So the two most popular areas are any of the Great Lakes, which there's several of them, and then Lake Tahoe.
I was going to guess Lake Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's big enough and has good enough wind that it is able to create some pretty decent waves that you can surf on. But if you're at Lake Tahoe, you're also close enough to go to the ocean. So why not just go to
Are you,
the ocean?
though? I don't think that you are like super close to the ocean.
I mean, it's a few hours away, but it's not like you're...
No, I think that you're like...
It's not like you're in Michigan.
No, that's fair. But Tahoe is on the border of California and Nevada.
Sure, but like you're a few hours away.
I bet that.
So
So
if
you
you're
look
gonna-
it up.
if
I'm
you're
not trying
gonna-
to just call you
if
out,
you're,
but I feel like it would be like a 5-hour at least drive.
Sure, but like it's close enough. If you're going to make a day trip to go surfing, why would you stop at Tahoe? Why would you not just keep going to the ocean?
Have you been to Lake Tahoe?
I've never been, no.
I haven't either. Have you seen pictures?
It's gorgeous.
Because it's kind of... You want to go?
Right now? I'm calling off work tomorrow.
Well, I mean, we can get there at 3 a.m. if we go now. We could make it.
There's no way.
How did it say how good the surfing was in Lake Tahoe?
So here's the thing. That's kind of the next piece I'm going to get into. Is
Sure.
like the conditions of it.
Okay.
Because there's a couple differences between lake surfing and your standard ocean surfing.
Right.
So
Sharks mostly, right?
let's talk about there is a difference in sharks.
Yeah.
With lake surfing, there's going to be none.
Which, for me, that's pretty much the deal breaker,
Yeah.
right? That's the decider for me.
So we're talking. Let's just talk about different conditions and stuff. So there's obviously different obstacles that you encounter when trying to surf. When we're talking about lakes versus oceans, that's going to be a big one.
Yep.
You're not running into sharks, jellyfish, like sea life, sea lions.
I guess they wouldn't be sea lions. Are there seals or anything in the Great Lakes?
No, not that I know, not that I'm aware of.
Or like some kind of equivalent?
Really big fish.
I'm sure there are big fish. I'm sure there's no sharks in the Great Lakes. You know what I
Right.
mean? But okay, you keep going. I'm going to
No,
find
as
out what the biggest animal in the Great Lakes
As far
is.
as I know, there's no seals or seals and sea lions aren't that same thing. Anyway, so you're not going to run into the same marine life that you would in the ocean,
Sure. Which is a big deal.
which is a huge deal. That one piece honestly keeps a lot of people out of the ocean, period, let alone surfing it. Secondly is the process by which waves are formed. So in the ocean, waves are typically formed by storms that happen hundreds of miles out at sea, and then the waves coming in are kind of the end result as they
Sure.
make it to land. And obviously, like
And that would be like, I mean, if I'm thinking about this right, I'm remembering back to my geography days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be the power of the wind pushing along the top, creating a force that gets bigger and bigger. And then as the waves get up to like the continental shelf and get shoved up against the shallow water, then that's when the waves really get pretty massive, right?
Yeah, and then way out into the ocean, these waves get huge, right?
Yeah.
And if you watch anything on like big wave surfing, every time they do it, they take a several-hour trip out into the ocean just to
Really?
start finding big waves. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool.
So it's like these big expeditions. That's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple like short documentary, 10-minute documentaries about a specific session, and it's like a all day like, yeah, we got to load up the boats, got to bring the jet skis, because they don't even really swim out to the waves. They'll get pulled out by jet skis to where the wave's going to come.
Right.
And then the jet ski will take off.
Right.
Sometimes towing them into it so they get enough speed to even catch the break of it.
That's unbelievable. We
Yeah.
we need to do an episode on big wave surfing.
Truly one of the most, outside of, I would put like bull riding and big wave surfing, like at the top of like two of the most extreme sports that there are.
I'll make you a commitment.
Okay.
I'll let you have bull riding. I'll take big wave surfing.
What do you mean?
You want to shake on it?
Oh, for topics?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's shake on it.
Absolutely, baby.
That was a good shake.
That's a solid shake. I hope you
All
heard
right.
that.
Good. Yeah. We'll make sure we do that.
So that's how waves get started out in the ocean.
Yep.
With lakes, it's typically waves are just made by high winds and storms that are happening in the lake. So a big difference is you can have really good surf and really good waves in the oceans on a really nice day.
Yeah.
But in order to have really good waves and really good surf in a lake, it's going to be a rough weather day.
Okay, sure.
And also because of that, your window for a great surf in the lake is much shorter.
I believe that.
Right? Whereas you can listen to the surf report and they'll know, a day or two in advance, hey, there was this big storm way out in the ocean.
Yeah.
We're going to see some residual effects from that.
Yeah.
So Tuesday morning, get ready. There's going to be some great waves.
Let's go plan it out.
Right? Versus you're out surfing Lake Michigan, you've got an hour where, hey, there's this storm coming and maybe we'll get some decent enough waves that you can surf it.
Wow.
So get ready. You know what I mean?
And that's going to be cold too.
Frigid. That was the next thing. So
Man, I'm on fire with these.
You are nailing it on the head. So typically the best storms happen during the winter and fall time.
Ooh.
So, and these to be able to produce waves or wakes that are big enough to even surf on, right?
In an already cold freshwater lake.
In an already very cold freshwater lake. So the surface water temperature when these storms are occurring out in these Great Lakes is anywhere between 32 and 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and because it's that cold, and good portions of these lakes
That's the
freeze
water
over.
temperature?
That's the surface water temperature.
Oh,
So
dude.
it can be even colder
Down below.
the deeper you go.
32 to 41?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even fathom that.
For our friends in Uzbekistan, that is 0 to 5 degrees Celsius.
They know.
Oh,
they
I didn't
already
know they
know.
use Fahrenheit.
That's a huge, ice bath is a huge, huge thing over there.
Sure, but I didn't know they use Fahrenheit.
Huge. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
Where was I going here? Oh, but because the best times to surf the lakes are in the winter and fall, you're going to also encounter sometimes
Sharks. Winter sharks. Snow sharks.
Sharks. You're right.
Ice sharks.
Sharks that are migrating north for the winter.
Yeah. Oh,
That makes
terrifying.
perfect sense. No, but you will encounter a lot of ice.
Okay.
So sometimes I've watched some videos where it's almost like surfers are surfing on a wave of slush. Because the water's chopped enough to break up the ice and it's become like slush.
Yeah.
Which honestly helps a little bit
Okay.
because the salt water has a much higher buoyancy. It's able to keep things afloat better, right?
Sure.
So sometimes it's a little trickier. It's just a little trickier to get up and get going on a surfboard in a freshwater lake because you're not going to be as buoyant.
A little bit less. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that every little bit counts with that kind of thing, right?
For sure. It's not so drastic that they've got to have special boards
Yeah.
or anything like that. But typically they do surf the longer boards, like your 10-footers and
Sure.
stuff. And also I think that helps chop through some of the slush and the ice that you're trying to get through and avoid.
No doubt.
So that's why you'll see a lot of these surfers, once they get out, they've got these icicle beards and stuff like that. It's because they typically, if they want to do it, they've typically got to do it in the winter.
Can I interject for just a moment?
I wish you would.
So I think we might have seen it together. I know I've talked about it with you before, but there's a film I watched at the Banff International Film Festival. So the Banff Film Festival, BANFF, originates out of Banff, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a film festival, outdoor films. You would see stuff from Patagonia and North Face and Red Bull and all all those doing films, right?
Yeah, cool.
Something like Free Solo could land at Banff, totally, right in its lane. So I remember we went to a screening at a local university here for Banff Film Festival, and it was this film called North of the Sun,
Okay.
which I own, but it's these two, I want to say Norwegian filmmakers who graduated film school and then immediately decided they were going to go and do something cool before they had to get serious jobs.
Yeah.
But they go up into the Arctic Circle and they They just have this little van. They pack up a bunch of stuff and surfboards and go up to the Arctic Circle because they're both avid surfers. But they found out that there is really good surfing up there during the wintertime.
Wow.
And so they find like trash and logs and stuff on they have this big beach that's just to themselves. And they build this like wooden shelter, like a little cabin. And it's like not bad actually. And it's got like a chimney and a stove, like it's protected from the elements. It's, like not a bad little cabin they've got. But then they just spend like this whole like 6 months of winter just surfing up there.
That's cool.
And documenting the whole thing north of the sun. Yeah. So, but there's a scene in there where they're boiling water on their stove and then they pour the boiling water into their wetsuits, slam the wetsuits on, and then beeline out there.
Oh, man.
And it's so cold that it takes a lot for ocean water to freeze.
Yeah.
Very cold temperatures. But it's so cold that they're running on the beach that's snowy, and then they're running on ice that's over the ocean until the ice breaks, and then they're in the ocean. So really, they're like, an extra like 100 feet or whatever into the ocean because that's where the ice breaks. But they talk about how much more dangerous it is because there's like this big like underwater shelf basically.
Oh, for sure.
So that they can get sucked in underneath that ice shelf. But the image of like this dude with a face that is a full beard of ice, just totally covered, pouring boiling water into a wetsuit just so we can go get a surf on,
Yeah, I'd love to watch that.
We should, dude. Yeah, it's great.
So that's that's a big part of the challenge of lake surfing is it's often done, and in places like that, it's often done during colder times of year. You're battling hypothermia, you're battling the wind, the snow, the cold elements.
I mean, if the guys I watch are anything to go for, though, it's like that speaks to the endurance of surfing anyway.
Totally,
you know what I mean?
Totally. The people that do it are like, that's part of them.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't matter if it's cold.
Exactly.
You're getting out there.
So
honestly, I bet you and I aren't big surfers. We've only been a few times, but you've been more than me. But I would imagine that it's probably similar feelings like riding motorcycles.
What do you mean? Surfing?
A little bit. Just like the feeling of freeness and the feeling of like individual like liberty that way. And like, we know a lot of dudes that ride bikes that it doesn't matter what temperature it is.
For sure.
They're just out there kind of for the love of the game.
I would totally agree. And the more you come across things like this, where there's like sacrifice to be made in order to participate in it, like battling these harsh elements, the more it like grips on to you as a person.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And the more you hold on to that as part of your identity, and the more you're willing to push to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my take.
And isn't that really like what life is all about?
Gosh.
And conveying emotions through language, I think, is pretty much it.
I think you hit it right on the head, friend.
I did. And you know what else I think? We should probably take a quick break.
It's a good idea. And we're back. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the popularity of lake surfing.
Okay.
So as I said before, it's definitely a very like niche thing because it is often done in very cold conditions.
Yeah. And in very kind of select places in the world anyway.
Very select places. But it's also something that's super accessible because there are lakes pretty much everywhere, or rivers and things like that. So for someone that lives in like the middle of the United States, it is a lot easier to get to a lake or a river that has some sort of surfing condition than it would be to get to the coast.
I mean, there's a place that you and I have watched a lot of dudes surf.
I was just going to mention that. So we've talked before about how we often go up to the Snake River in Wyoming.
If you want to learn more about that, by the way, you can check out our episode on whitewater rafting. We talk extensively about that.
Super interesting.
Great episode.
People will frequent there regularly to come surf some of the rapids because it's just it's basically nature's wave pool. Yeah. And it's just creating a constant wave that you can dive in and surf that spot. So that's actually pretty popular. In my research for some of this, I stumbled across a video just a little compilation a guy put together of him surfing in all 50 states.
Oh wow! So, dude, I bet some of those were sad.
Yeah,
sad.
Some of it's.
Can you imagine surfing in Delaware? I know that they get the ocean in Delaware still, but come on.
Some of it's like he's got these sweet waves with curls, like in California and Florida, and then it's like, here's me in Tennessee surfing in a river, and it's just like barely enough to like keep his board afloat. You know what I mean? But like he had a goal and he got it.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
So it's possible to do it. There's places to do it in all 50 states. So there's no excuse. You can get into surfing.
That's super cool.
So this is reportedly the very first lake surfing club. Was found in Port Colborne, Ontario, Canada, which is on the northeastern shore of Lake Erie. And it was founded in 1965.
Okay.
And as far as I know, is still an active and living club today.
Wow.
Regularly, they hold surfing events on Lake Erie, big parties, surf competitions, and like loose surf competitions. It didn't seem like it was like highly competitive, but more of like a, hey, let's get out. We're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to have a competition and let's go surf. You know what I mean?
What's this place called again?
So the club is called Wildwood Surf Club, and it is in Port Colborne, Ontario. And all of the original members, there were 17 original club members that all either lived in like Buffalo, New York, or Hamilton, Ontario.
That's so random.
Yeah. So just other sides of the lake.
Yeah.
They were able to yell across to each other and ask. Honestly, one probably got stuck or pushed out by the surf and ended up on the other side. And they're like, "You do this over here too?"
Yeah.
Oh, we do, eh?
That's what they sound like, even if they're not from Canada up there.
That's so fair. People in the north of the United States just sound softly Canadian.
Just sound different. Almost Uzbekistanian.
Well, I wouldn't go that way.
Uzbek is probably the right way to say that, I guess.
So this part was cool. Talking about the popularity of like lake surfing and river surfing. There is another landlocked country that has one of the biggest surf populations in the world. Any guesses?
Country, you say?
Country. Here's a hint. You're wrong.
Okay, if I'm going to take a real guess.
Okay.
Give me a region.
Europe.
Switzerland.
That was right on the head. It is Switzerland.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm for real. Wow, dude. How'd you do that?
I don't know.
Wow, I'm baffled.
Dude, I am on fire.
You
this
are on
episode.
fire. Okay, get this. With over 45,000 surfers, people that identify themselves as surfers,
Yeah.
landlocked Switzerland has more wave riders per capita than any other country in the world. Think about that for a second. And the United States has some premier surfing. You include Hawaii, Florida, California. Like, we have really good surfing.
And they're higher.
But Switzerland has a higher per capita of surfers than any other country in the world.
That's like everybody there does it then.
That's a lot. I mean, that's 45,000 people in what's the population of Switzerland?
46,000.
Oh, well, they got us.
Men, women, children, oldies, they're all doing it.
All the oldies. So they have a population as of 2023 of 8.85 million people.
So
which that is a much smaller country compared to we're over 300 million in the United States.
380 million or something.
So that makes a little more sense, but nonetheless, like, it's a lot of people surfing in the rivers and lakes in Switzerland.
No kidding.
So yeah, so I thought that was probably the more interesting thing I came across.
No kidding, yeah.
The next piece I wanted to talk about, we've talked about a little bit, is just some of the challenges that come with lake surfing.
Sure.
Typically, it's a little bit colder.
Yep.
And obviously, depending on where you surf in the ocean, you can have just as cold, if not colder, ocean conditions, right?
Right.
But there's also a lot of accessibility for like some really nice surfing.
Yeah.
In really nice beaches, nice and sunny. Just a pair of board shorts and you're set for the day, right?
That sounds great, actually.
Gosh, that sounds incredible right now.
It really does. It's cold here now.
We're like getting deep into winter, and it's like, gosh, I'd love to be on a beach.
I've also been living with a super pregnant woman, so who's running super hot. So she's kept our house cold, and I've never been like, I never run cold. I'm always running warm, but I've been cold in my bones for the past 2 months.
Even she's testing your limits.
Oh, not testing. Yeah, they're broken. I'm a broken man. Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you're gonna surf in a lake, like it's almost guaranteed it's gonna be cold. And then you add in some of these other challenges, but the unpredictability of wave conditions.
Sure.
Like I said, you have a much shorter window of actually catching the waves, and you have a much shorter window of actually getting to them.
Right.
So you're already at work, and you've got to somehow get out of work to go catch these waves.
Yeah, I mean,
whereas like, you're in Florida, you either don't have a job or you can call out the day before because the surf is going to be good.
They just don't have jobs there. But if you're lake surfing, I mean, you gotta burn that building down quick. Get out there. You can get a whole session while they're trying to get everybody accounted for.
Honestly, I'll bet there's some of that where it's like, because you've got, if you have a big storm come in and traffic's bad, and they're like, all right, you don't got to be on time to work, but we expect everyone to be there, within an hour or two. That gives time for the roads to be cleared off.
Right.
I know there's people that are like, sweet, I just heard I have an hour or two to go surf. So get the wetsuit and the boiling water.
Yeah.
And
get after it.
Hit it.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are kind of the biggest ones. It's just the weather conditions, the extreme colds, and the short window of being able to do it.
Sure.
However, there's a lot of benefits, which we've already talked about, but just wanted to highlight them again real quick before. It's wildly accessible.
Yep.
You don't need an ocean. Like I said, I watched that video. You can do it in all 50 states.
I'm also thinking like it's accessible in the fact that you don't have to plan on, I don't know. I feel like the short amount of time you get is probably like a bittersweet thing.
Sure.
Because it's also like you're getting out there, you get a nice session in, and then it doesn't take your entire day up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
You're not getting super sore or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe that's good. Who knows?
I'm sure that works for a lot of
maybe
people.
It's just a bummer that they don't get as much surfing time as they want to. I don't know.
There's a huge community for it, and it is constantly growing.
Sure.
I think, and I've had this talk with a lot of people as far as like their first experience surfing in general. Like once you like do it and do it successfully and get a little bit of a taste for it, it's like, oh, I want to do that again.
Sure.
So if you don't live near an ocean and you're like, how do I get that? Like that was so much fun. That was such a cool experience. Like there's somewhere near you, there's going to be a community of people that are into it and know the local hotspots. Go try it out.
Sure.
And especially if it's a river, you don't have to wait for a storm to come through a river to get some good waves.
You just got to wait for old Jeb to be done with his set, right?
Mm-hmm. Someone to pull you out.
Yeah.
So there you go. As far as the future of this sport, like I said, the community is growing. People are working on like just honestly better ways to stay warm.
Sure.
And to improve that. It's not different enough that different equipment is required other than just your general protective equipment and wetsuits and dry suits and things like that. But people are working on it to improve it. Secondly, because surfing in general is growing and becoming more popular, there's a few places where, and they're really expensive, so they haven't really taken off yet, but there's a couple places where people have made basically artificial waves. And I'm not talking like a wave pool. There's a really famous surfer that has a facility. I think he calls it like I want to say it's Kelly Slater, who, if you know who Kelly Slater is, he's like one of the goats of surfing.
Yeah, totally.
And he has what he calls like his surf farm. And he's got this huge, I'll find a video of it and show it to you, but he's got this huge apparatus.
Isn't it a train?
It looks like a train, yeah.
And then it pulls this big like plow through?
There's basically a plow that's underwater, and then it's connected to an elevated track.
Yeah.
And as it pulls down the track, it creates this perfect curl. And I mean, you can surf it for like a solid minute all the way down, and it just creates, the most perfect wave.
Plus no sharks.
You can hit. And there's no sharks.
Perfect.
So I can see, as surfing continues to grow, I can see stuff like that slowly being built more and more inland. Because I think I do believe it's Kelly Slater. His is in California.
I mean, that's true though, dude. There's like I mean, in Utah, I was just looking up. Were you going to talk about surfing in Utah?
Not particularly.
Because I was curious if that's something that's like big here still. Because we're super inland too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But there's flow riders, of course, which is like a little tiny surf thing that they usually have in like arcades and stuff is what it feels like. You know what I mean?
The one that's near us is, like in an arcade.
Right. But I think that there's a big private, is it in southern Utah?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
There's like a big surfing complex down there somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Other than that, though, I saw that people will do like parts of Provo River.
Interesting.
Have enough of a wave that they're a little bit rideable, or even.
I'm curious as to where, because I've never seen something in the Provo River that I thought, I could surf that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm sure it's not huge.
It'd be worth my time.
I guess some people have even done the Great Salt Lake, but it's during like a big bad storm or whatever, and then they get a wave that's rideable.
Sure.
I'm sure that's so few and far between, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where was I? I just saw it. Yeah, I found a video. I'll show this to you. But Kelly Slater's. It is Kelly Slater. And he has a surf ranch in Lemoore, California, which is like Central California.
Sure.
So it does exist. I think it'd be really cool if something like that slowly made its way out here.
Yeah.
Because there's enough. Because we're close. We're a day trip from California.
Yeah.
There's enough.
We're like 10 hours to LA, right?
Yeah. I feel like there's enough of a culture out here. Something like that could do well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're close enough that there's enough people out here that regularly go out for like a weekend to go surf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely think there's a place for it out here. So Kelly Slater, if you want to build a surf ranch out here, we'd love that.
You can do it for free in my backyard, Kelly.
I'll donate my backyard.
Yeah, I just want 2% of all the revenues.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Cool. So yeah, that's lake surfing.
I think that's awesome. I joke a lot about, judging people for something that they enjoy doing or whatever. If it's not something that I like, I joke about that a lot. But in all reality, I'm not a big fan of like yucking somebody else's yum. And if you really like it, go for it. But like something like that is just so like, almost feels pretty cultural. You know what I mean? It's just something that you can just get out and go do, and it's freeing and it's therapeutic and it's kind of a good reset, and it's good for you. I'm totally down for
absolutely
something like that. I think we all should have something like that.
I agree.
Mine is
recreational drugs.
Cocaine. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, it makes me feel like nothing else.
It's healthy, it's freeing, it's therapeutic. I can do it inside my own house, and it's all great. All of it's perfect. So get out there, kids. Don't do cocaine. Go lake surfing and have a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, man. Well, if you like the show, if you don't like the show, you want suggestions, any episode suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Shoot us an email, hello@otherbrothers.studio. If you want to see more of us online, you can visit us on
Instagram at Other Brothers Studios, which will connect you to our specific Instagram page for Low Grade Research Pod. You can check us out on Facebook as well. We're also on Twitter at OB Studios. And find us, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Kisses. See you next week.